Okay, this is Mr. Peterson, and we're looking at section 2.1 notes on relations and functions. A relation is a set of input and output values. So we have some sort of relationship between an input, which is usually labeled X or often labeled X, and a result or an output, which is labeled Y. The X coordinate is the input value, the starting value, and the Y coordinate is the output. So an example of this is if you were buying pizza at $2 a slice and you walked up to the counter and the person behind the counter serving customers asked you, how many pizza slices do you want to buy? And you told them 3 slices. The input would be 3. In other words, X would be 3. And then they would calculate the cost based on 3 times 2 would be $6. So they take your input and they multiply by 2 and they get their output, $6. So there's input of 3, output 6. Okay, these input and output values, their X and Y values, can be plotted on an XY coordinate system. The thing to remember here is that the X will always go left and right from the origin, and then from where you end up, you go up and down on the Y coordinate. So an example of this would be 3, negative 2. You go 3 to the right and then 2 down, and you get the location 3, negative 2. We'll label that point A. 4, 0 is 4 in the X direction, 0 in the Y direction. So you would go from the origin 4 to the right. And then because the Y is 0, you don't go up or down. You just remain on the X-axis. That's point B. Point C is 5 to the right and 6 up. D is 2 left and 8 up. E is 0, 6, which means your X coordinate is 0. You do not move in the left and right direction, but you do move up 6 units. So there's point E. And the last one we have in this list is point F, which is 4 to the left and 3 down. And that comes from the negative 4, negative 3 coordinates. So the X is 4, negative 4 moves you 4 to the left, and the Y being negative moves you 3 down. Okay, now the set of all input values is called the domain. In other words, when you take the collection of X's, all possible input values. Now, if you're talking pizza slices, you certainly can't order a negative number of pizza slices, and under normal conditions, you can't order decimal numbers. And it would be a little unusual to order 0. So we would say the domain of the function, I used this in illustration earlier, would be 1, 2, 3, 4, in other words, the natural numbers. Now, I'll show you how this domain works here. So we're going to take the domain of this set of points here, and it's the X values, 3, 4, 5, negative 2, and 0. And you simply list them in set format. And there's one more, there's a negative 4 at the end that I forgot to highlight. So we'll highlight that one. Okay, something you should know about this is as you're listing the X values that are in the domain, you should not repeat them. In other words, do not double list them. Now the Y values together comprise the range of the function or of the relation. So this is all the y values that are possible. And in my illustration earlier, that would be the prices that you would be charged for slices of pizza. So let me change the color on this. I'm going to go with a blue color, and we'll list the range here. -2, 0, 6, 8. We've already had the 6, so I'm not going to list the 6. And finally a -3. So -2, 0, 6, 8. We'll skip that second 6. We don't want to repeat what we write down. And then we finish the notation, which is set notation, and a big R stands for range. Okay. So down below here, I'm going to show you how to make a mapping diagram. Now this is an easy skill, but it's very specific. A mapping diagram looks a certain way, and you don't want to change how it looks. So this is not a good place to get creative. Your creativity will not be appreciated by your teacher. So I'm going to start here from scratch. I'm going to just have blank paper here. And you're going to list the domain in vertical format this time. So we have -3, 4. We'll skip the other -3. 6, 0, and 9. We list those. And I'll put a circle around it to indicate that that's the domain. And then we'll do the same with the range. I'll do kind of a yellow, a greenish blue here. So 2, 6, 5, 4, 8, and the last 8 is a repeat, so do not list it. Put a circle around it, and then we have to make the connections. In the first point, -3 maps to 2, and you put an arrow from left to right with an arrowhead on it, just like that. And then 4 maps to 6. And then this point down here, we have -3 maps to 5, and you can see that I just drew the arrow from the -3 to the 5. 6 maps to 4. And down here, 0 maps to 8. And 9 also maps to 8. So when 9 is the input, 8 is the output. And the previous arrow was when 0 is the input, 8 is the output. Okay, then quickly we're going to graph these. -3, 2 is 3 to the back, 3 back and 2 up. 4, 6 is 4 forward and 6 up. -3, 5 would be 3 back and 5 up. 6, 4 is 6 to the right and 4 up. 0, 8 is not, well, the X is 0, which means you don't move right and left, but you do go up 8. And the final point is 9, 8, so you go 9 to the right and 8 up. And there's the graph of that collection of points, that relation. Okay, so that does it for page 1, and I'll pick up in the next video doing page 2 for you.